So now, chapter 2, the literature review. And the literature review in this assignment is a bit tricky because you don't have enough time to actually do a whole review. You don't have the time to read a lot. So what we are going to do in this literature review is that we are okay with at least 10 academic references if you are a group of 2 and 15 academic references if you are a group of 3. So that is what we expect. In your dissertation, you will probably have around like 30 or 40 references in the literature review because probably you will need to do a big review. You will have more time. But in here, no more than 10 or 15, depending on the size of your group. But before we jump to the literature review on itself, it's important that you add this section, the first section 2.1, with the method of the literature review. It's not the method of our study, like the interviews and all of this. It's just the method of how we found the articles. So that is literally what you have to write in here. It doesn't have to be like a very long thing because like we have a lot um, of steps that we probably did, but at the same time, we don't have enough time to do it that systematic and that large. So what you need to write in here is how did you search for the literature, relevant literature, like which keywords did you use and where did you search for it? Was it in Google Scholar or in Primo Library? Where was it? Also, how did you limit your search? Did you include only articles in English? Did you include also in Swedish? Besides that kind of formal search, you remember from the lecture we learned the formal searches with the keywords and all of this. Did you also find articles from a different source? And I guess the answer is yes, because I already gave you a few. So report that like we received articles from our teacher in this case, also from your colleagues if you did. Also report that kind of informal search that you found it from informal source or process. I told you that a great thing to do is to have the Excel file with all the analysis of the articles, but I think it will be difficult to do it with more than 10 or 15 because you don't have time. So include that in the next section. I will talk about it, but only with 10 or 15. And I also talk about the other diagram. Do you remember the Prisma diagram that goes the initial search and then we remove a few, we remove blah, blah, blah. You can also take a look at the videos because there are videos on that. I think it's good if you include that Prisma thing from your big search that you did, but in the end, add one more level because maybe you will finish after filtering and everything. Maybe you finish with 50 articles, but you don't have time to read 50 articles. So add one more level saying like, we screen the articles by relevance, and then we decided to fully read only 15 articles or these 10 articles. So also maybe at last one step on to show that in the end you couldn't read all the relevant articles because you don't have time. So you selected only a specific number. So that is this section, the method of the literature review. How did you find it? How did you kind of filter it? And that process also shown in the Prisma file, the Prisma thing at one final level with, in the end, these were 50 relevant articles, but we only read 10 articles. Do it, it's fine. And after that, then we have the actual literature review. So the literature review is actually discussing the articles. And here there is not like a best structure for everyone because it depends on how you problematize and how you discuss. One possibility is that you can have one subsection for the global mindset, and then you discuss 3 or 4 articles on the global mindset, then another subsection where you discuss 3 or 4 articles about your own independent variable, like materialism, and then one more section where you discuss materialism and the global mindset. So section 1, 2, and 3, and it shouldn't be that long, like maybe 2 or 3, no, even less, 1 or 2 paragraphs max for each subsection. So maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs for the global mindset, 1 or 2 paragraphs max for the materialism, and 1 or 2 paragraphs max for the expected relationship. And then after that, I think at the end of that, what you can do is maybe, because I think I will show you from the previous study, maybe you can propose kind of a diagram of what the literature says that is relevant in that relationship. So maybe between materialism and the global mindset, it is also like maybe biases are important, maybe education is important, maybe financial resources are important, maybe, I don't know, maybe different things that are outside of that scope are important, so maybe you can prepare, I think we talk about it in the lecture, maybe you can prepare at the end of the literature review, at the end of 2.2, maybe you can prepare kind of diagram where you present the relevant factors or relevant aspects that can influence this relationship. I will show you in a second from the good assignment how it looks like. And finally, in tip 2.3, it's extremely important that you write one short paragraph where you more or less summarize everything that you say and then state your hypothesis. So you say, we revise the literature and then they assume that that materialism conceptualized as this will have an impact on the global mindset conceptualized as this. So our hypothesis is this. And then you said your hypothesis. We also discussed the hypothesis, and I also think you don't have a lot of space to innovate in the hypothesis. It's a very clear hypothesis. The independent variable has a positive or negative relationship depending on how you argue for it on the global mindset of students in Sweden. That's the hypothesis, as clear as that. So your independent variable has a positive or negative relationship with the global mindset. That's it. I don't think you have a lot of possibilities, but it depends on how you argue in the whole literature review, what you found there. Is materialism going to affect negative or positively? What can we build from what we have read? Is it something that sounds that will be positive or something that sounds it will be negative? And with that, we finish the literature review. But let me show you from the good assignment how it looks like. So here they wrote 2 paragraphs on how they did it. Things that I believe you can improve from here. It is maybe adding the Prisma figure. I think that can be a good improvement. And also using references to kind of benchmark your choices. Like, why did you use the Scopus index or another thing that I think I didn't discuss here and it's important? This point. How did you assess the quality of the literature? Remember, we discussed that a lot. So you can do something like they did in here. They say that they relied on the Scopus index. So they used the Scopus index. They could have used ABS ranking also, or maybe they could use their own, which I think is a good approach. You can do your own due diligence, or you can mix. You can say like, at least we use only articles from the Scopus index or ABS list or whatever, but we also did our due diligence and we read very carefully the method section of each chapter. So in this 2.1, discuss all of these things. But again, coming back to what I was saying, 2 things to improve. Maybe add the Prisma thing with all the numbers that you found, and also maybe also add some references to benchmark your choices. Like the paper that you have in the lecture, use that to benchmark what you have done, which is, for example, the use of the search engine or the use of the ABS or Scopus. You can say like, similar to what these authors did, we also follow the same approach. We also used a benchmark. So those are maybe 2 things that can be improved. And then on 2.2, the actual literature review, again, for example, they didn't add subsections. I suggest that you use subsections, but it is up to you. But I like this, that in the end, they presented this framework that I say, like, based on their relationship, they presented a possibility for what factors are relevant. So materialism and the global mindset, maybe financial situation is relevant, maybe education, maybe personal values, whatever you find in the literature, present like an initial framework. I think Brian likes that, and he will help you to develop that framework with the data that you will collect. And then finally, 2.3, the hypothesis I told you is not very long. It's just like that. And the hypothesis is here. One final comment, how you could improve this, maybe with include again some references, not new references, but maybe one or two, the most important ones from the previous discussion in here. So that's how you write the literature review. Now we will have more videos about the method. I will come back to that later.